Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. After my last video on Sunday, I mentioned that the most liquidity that was attracting the price on the higher end, precisely at 70.5 and 72k. Bitcoin managed to take just the 70.5 right before the news about Israel spreading, causing an obvious pullback due to fears about instability. The effect of this pullback on the 4-hour, it's slightly worrying. On the daily, the structure still is not damaged, but in this video, we're going to review if that 4-hour time frame can take the price low enough to actually cause substantial damage to the daily uptrend in a way that could extend the sideways for a little bit longer before we can see an all-time high. I've got news about CME gaps. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload one of these videos. And to support this channel, watch the video until the very end. And no matter what, leave a comment down below. That's really helping the channel to continue growing. Some people might watch this video and observe the monthly pattern here and might say, what is the problem? We have reverted a lot of the damage from April. We seem to be holding pretty decently here. And don't get me wrong, this is a monthly chart, and I think if we were to close at prices like this, it's gonna bring a lot of hope for many investors thinking that there should be continuation to the upside. And that is good. So to make my point more clear about how critical is the situation on the daily, let's go to the chart and let's see. So far, we are doing higher highs and higher lows in this structure here. So we were expecting to see a retest at 67. The problem is that this made a high that is lower than this high, more or less at around 70.5. Right after that, we got the news about Israel, and last night the price started coming down. So far, it hasn't taken the lows here. So we could say that this is still in a good place to bounce and eventually take out the 72k and produce a higher high. Not necessarily an all-time high, but as long as it's higher than 72k, that will keep the daily structure healthy for continuation. If this becomes our high at 70.6, then I'm afraid that it's very likely that we might take the point of control at 67 and damage the structure. There's only one caveat with this particular interpretation. You could say that this is a low and this is the high. In that case, to break the structure, we need to go below 60.1. But if you say that this is a high, there's a mini low here, and then there's another high, then taking this low will mean that we just need to go below 65k to break the structure. If we go below 60.5, we have broken the daily structure. That's an obvious one. But if we go below 65.2, it's not absolutely a broken structure. My main concern is that it does break below the point of control once again. All this area here below the point of control in the current range at this point in time means that we slightly incline into a more bearish scenario, meaning that instead of targeting the big accumulations of liquidity at the top end, we start looking into the lower end. So far, the fear and greed index is still holding at 72. We made a high of 76. We were looking for a breakout above 70, targeting the higher 80s, but we are still at least 10 points away from that target. So are we going to manage to get there? The technicals are currently saying that there is a big chance. It's still on the table. But any bearish news coming from Israel that escalate too quickly could put in risk the current bullishness that, in my opinion, it was highly influenced by the last speech of Trump being pro-crypto. That definitely made a U-turn in the direction that Ethereum was going and Bitcoin. This was the drawing that we made in the last video. This is the structure that we discussed, and we say that if we don't overcome this line at 69.5, then our aim is for 64. Breaking above this will keep the structure obviously healthy. That was the recipe to get to 73 and 74. But you can see that we just left a week there. So this attempt has been failed, and now we need to look to recharge batteries for another attempt in another occasion. In terms of CME gaps, this could be a narrative that could drive the price back into the 70s. We have a CME gap that is not very wide. It's just $400 from 70K to 70.4. This CME gap was not produced over the weekend. In fact, it was yesterday, Monday. So for us, in order to understand our chances of hitting that 70K very quickly and continuing to the top end of the liquidity, all this red that we see around here, I think that there's nothing better that we can do than looking at the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, we have produced from the 8th of May this channel going to the upside. This is thanks to the indicator Lux Algo Price Action Concepts, which you can find with a discount in the description. As you can see, the price has made the full journey from one end to the other end. And this time, instead of bouncing from the lower end once again to the top end like it did on the 20th of May, it miserably failed by going just sideways, having one single candle, and then reverting the whole progress here, taking us below the range. So what we do have to do very quickly on the 4-hour, hopefully before the end of today, is we need to re-enter the channel. In that case, this is going to be seen as just a fake out, a liquidity grab. The continuation to the top range of this channel at 75, 76 is doable. But as long as we continue struggling in getting rejected below this 4-hour channel, there's a high chance that we can be targeting the lower end here. Just keep in mind that there's an order block that pushed the price to this top end there and is located at 66K, and that's a bullish order block. The only caveat is that we have already used partially the liquidity from here, as you can see on those wicks there, so we might have to go slightly lower to take the rest of the liquidity and hopefully use that to push the price higher and not for becoming resistance. If we look at the 4-hour, we broke below here, we lost the momentum on the 4-hour, and then right after that, we pushed back above it. But we never came to retest here the resistance up until Monday at 2 p.m. and there was a massive rejection. It was a mixed bag because we broke below, so that means that we lost the momentum. This breakout from here was against resistance, a little bit tough at that point to really make a break above it. I say that if we managed to break above this, we could have been targeting 75, but we never managed to do that. We stay below this, and this is doing a strong rejection there. In my opinion, there is a chance that here we struggle to make a higher high and we continue lower on the RSI 4-hour. On the daily, things are a little bit more critical because we went above the range, we came below, we retest once again, and we are continuously struggling to do the full breakout from above 70K that we were talking about. We say that if we do the breakout, we are aiming for a first target of 76 and for a final target of 92. That's the very aggressive one. Unfortunately, if this keeps rejecting us, there is a chance that we come back for the lower end once again. All this area here is full of liquidity formed by fair value gaps, and we have a massive order block located at 51K. I'm not saying we are going there, I'm just informing you what is the motivation for the price to go there if things escalate in a bearish way in the macroeconomy. I get it, many things are starting to look very bullish as well with the elections, with Trump being pro-crypto, but as a trader, you kind of have to ignore those things and you always have to be looking, in my opinion, non-financial advice, into what the charts are saying. When there is a divergence between the narrative, everybody being bullish and thinking that no, now we have to run up, and suddenly you see the charts telling you the opposite, you have to take 2 steps back, look at things with a cold-minded, and at the very least end up being neutral in the market. If things change completely and the charts start showing that we are breaking out and the momentum starts looking like we are going to do that, I will be the first one to tell you. So make sure that you follow me on Twitter as well, because that is the first place where I post things. Follow me on YouTube to learn the full detail and the whole analysis behind. I posted this morning this into Twitter. I know that it's full of lines and things, but if you've been following the channel, you get really familiar with the patterns. We have a pattern coming down on the daily. We talk about when we started getting bullish, which was around the 3rd of May. Since then, we have done a lot of progress. We made a high of 66. which is fantastic. But in the past days, we've been focusing mainly on this channel to the upside formed by these two red lines. And the most important thing that is happening today in the daily chart is that we have formed and completed head and shoulders with actually two shoulders on each side, as you can see here, two shoulders ahead and two shoulders on this side. On the daily candle, we are breaking down. Remember that the daily candle is not settled, so by the end of today, it could revert back up support formed by the red line, and if we do that, it's going to become extremely bullish for continuation to the upside. That will mean that we are just grabbing liquidity from shorts to make enough energy to push even higher. But as it currently stands, we are below the support in a single candle, and this target is aiming for an RSI of 43. We might not make it in a single candle here, so who knows, maybe we could arrive there in a week time or maybe a little bit longer. But closing the daily below support, it is bearish for Bitcoin, unfortunately. So by the end of the day, look for an RSI above 58 on the daily time frame of Bitcoin. That could be the difference between day and night, green arrow or red arrow. Let's do the target in a more elegant way. We could say that this could get to around 46 RSI if it closes the day below 58. 46 RSI in terms of the price is currently located at 64.7. So that is an initial target for this closing the day where we are. On the weekly time frame, the stochastic RSI is pointing higher here, which is a good sign for the weekly. But if we see a push lower in the price, what we're going to see with the stochastic is another bearish cross here and continuing to stay in the oversold area. Hopefully, what we want is to be targeting the higher levels of liquidity at 73K. And if we do that and we remain in that range, you're going to be seeing the stochastic doing something like this, which is extremely bullish. We just started the week on Monday, and we can see that the stochastic is already above 20, which is bullish. So from the weekly perspective, the odds are towards higher prices. The candlestick patterns from the weekly, where are we right now with that? We have many long wicks that are bullish here, hanging towards the lower end. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles that left a long wick to the downside, meaning that there's buying pressure. And to the upside, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 information. The magnitude of the ones that are in the lower end are larger than the ones that are on the top. From the point of view of just that candlestick pattern, we could say that the buying pressure seems to be larger than the selling pressure. The problem is that we are going to have to deal with these 2 wicks pointing to the upside. That's definitely going to have some effect in the price, in the way that investors interpret this. Because at the very least, they're going to think that this is a double top, not just because of these 2 candles, but also in terms of this relative to this. One thing that I have forgotten to mention is that we have a hidden bullish divergence on the weekly. This low is lower than this low, but both stochastic and RSI have higher lows here and a lower low there. And that is a bullish pattern of continuation. On the lower end, we have the levels of 67.4 followed by 64K. And one of the things that have me slightly worried around here is that if you look at the FAR charts, right now we are forming some resistance of 47 million in volume. It's not as far away from the 93 million that we have here before we started with this downtrend. We have 83 millions right very close to the top, and we have 73 million in liquidity when we were at 73K, which is the all-time high. So that's why we might need to take in consideration how much there is in terms of ask. And if we go to the real-time order book, we can see that we have an order for 800 at 73K. There's almost no liquidity between the price and that level of 73K. And going below the price, we have relatively less support, and the only level that is a bit more substantial is 65K with 750. Below that, there's almost nothing. We have to use the slider here to see what else there is, but really there is not that much. We can see that over the past 2 days. First, shorts were liquidated and then the longs have been liquidated, taking about the same amount of losses. Currently, the longs are the ones risking more, but the delta is so flat that I will say that the delta is not giving any relevant information. Have a look at my copy trading bots in the description. There is a link. And if you want to trade with a decent exchange, have a look at my OKX link. It's offering 60,000 price pool. This exchange offers amazing features for bot trading, perpetuals, grid bots, absolutely everything that you may need. And if you struggle to get access to KYC, or you might just not want to do KYC, you can have a look at my link for BingX. This exchange offers not just crypto, but stocks and commodities, contracts, perpetuals, leverage, and you can claim up to 6,000 in rewards. All the links are in the description. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, because later today I'm planning to make a dedicated video to Ethereum and the altcoins. As you can see here, the weekly has managed to break above the trend line, and we are printing a new green candle right after. You can see how our momentum is going higher. The Bitcoin dominance is also doing its own thing, being below the support. And many of the setups with the alts that we talk about are doing really great results, with the exception of 2 of them that got stopped out. But more details will come in the next video. See you in the next one.